Thank you. I'm a project associate professor at the Division of Active Learning and Teaching, CAUS, and these are my students, Natsuko and Takuki. And I'm delighted to be here to talk about a new course which is offered as our divisions, one of our division's courses. And our presentation will be a little bit unique because this course itself is not flipped class. So teachers didn't flip the class, but in this course, the students designed and implemented flipped class. So what we will be talking about will be a little bit different from what has been discussed previously. Okay. And in the first half of this presentation, I would like to talk about the overview of the course. And in the second half of the presentation, students will explain what they have learned from this course, as well as how they have perceived the significance of student involvement in designing and implementing flipped class. And finally, I will conclude this presentation by demonstrating the responses received from the students as well as faculties. Okay. So I don't think I need to explain about my profile, but I belong to this DALT, whose mission is to promote active learning at Komaba. And we do the operation of active learning studio, including CAUS, and we provide workshop, teaching, we create teaching materials, and also we do provide active learning based courses. And I won't explain too much about my research topic, but it's higher education reform, and which include internationalization and quality assurance of higher education. And so I'm pleased to know that many of you here are actually engaged in Global 30s in Alessa. Okay, so let me briefly explain about the background of this course. In active learning division courses, we generally teach some topics and some kind of active learning method through lecture and active learning method. So for example, in my course, not this course that I'm talking today, but in another course that I teach, students are supposed to propose how higher education can be improved based on the field work they do outside of the class. And so in this course, I give a lecture on higher education reform, as well as how to do field work, followed by some activities related to these. So as a result, students eventually acquire some kind of active learning method skills. So similarly, when me and Louis, my colleague, was discussing about offering a new course, we came up with this idea of introducing flipped class because it has high affinity with active learning, and also because our division's mission is to promote active learning, we thought it would be interesting to do something about flipped class. And flipped class aim is to transform the traditional knowledge transmission-based class into student-led class. And it is claimed in some studies that if designed and implemented well, flipped class would increase student engagement and activate student interaction, and also increase student study hours outside the class. So these were what exactly our division wanted to do. But as I have said earlier, our intention was not to provide flipped class itself, but to provide a course in which students can design and implement flipped class. So from the very beginning, we wanted to involve some faculties in this course as well. And Professor Tamura here, and also another professor, Hiraoka, has joined this course and to provide a 30-minute mini lecture, and which was intentionally designed, knowledge transmission based for educational purpose. And students are supposed to design and implement the flipped class based on this mini lecture. Okay, so 5 faculties were involved in this course, 3 from DALT, our division, 1 each from humanity and science. And there were 8 students participated in this course, 4 students each from humanity and science. And they were interested in teaching. Some of them are interested in teaching, like Takuki, he is pursuing his career for teaching, he wants to be a teacher in the future. And some of them are interested in flipped class itself, or they were interested in the idea of designing the class. And what we expected from this course was that student involvement in designing and implementing flipped class would increase the understanding of active learning and flipped class, also enhance presentation skills through video making, and enhance facilitation skill through facilitation skill. Also increase mutual understanding between faculties and students involved in the course. What I mean by this is that by taking a role of a faculty or teacher, students will become aware of the faculty's teacher's intention or expectation in the class. On the other hand, faculties or teachers will become aware of the doubts and questions students have by observing the process and outcome of flipped class students' design. And we also had a bigger picture. If students in this course succeed in designing and implementing flipped class, there is a possibility to involve students in promoting flipped class in other courses at Komawa, so outside of this course. So here is what we have designed. The course schedule, I'll just briefly explain. In class 1, we did the guidance to the students, and from class 2 to class 4, lecture was given on several topics, such as what is flipped class, how to design class, what are the active learning methods that can be used in the flipped class, etc. And from class 5 to class 6, mini lecture was given by 2 professors. And also from class 7 to class 12, students actually designed and developed and implemented this flipped class. And for class 3, there was a reflection. So now I would explain a little bit more detail about what we have done in the class. So in class 2, we give a lecture on what is flipped class. For example, characteristic and the merit of flipped class, and followed by activities in which students actually design flipped class. To give an example, we gave the students an assignment to pick a class from the classes that they are taking, and which they think can be learned effectively if transformed into flipped class version. And we asked the students to design the flipped class version of that class. We also distributed the work, this sheet, in which students can write about the traditional version of the class that they are taking, and how they can transform this traditional version of class into flipped class version. So they wrote what they are doing, what they are given, what kind of assignment they are giving in the class, and what kind of activities they do in the class, in the classes that they are taking, and also how it can be transformed into flipped class version, and how they think, what kind of assignment could be done before and after the class, if this class is transformed into flipped class. Okay, so the case study procedure was like this. So we asked the students to share the overview of the class in a group, and secondly, there was a group of 4, and among these 4 students, they chose one class which seems to be interesting for them to work on. So, and after that, they made a flipped class design as a group, and they shared the result in the class like this. So you can see Takuki explaining about what they have done in the group, and also Natsuko listening to what he's explaining. And class 3 and class 4, I will just briefly explain, but Louis has given the lecture on what giving a lecture on instructional design theory related to motivation and also class design, and followed by activities that's related to this, the content of the lecture, to enhance the knowledge the students has gained through lecture. And also in class 4, different types of AL method was taught, and they actually experienced these different types of AL methods. Takuki will be referring to this later on. And in class 5 and 6, mini lecture was given by 2 professors who participated in this course. And first, mini lecture was given, and at the same time, students took the note of the lecture. And after that, students shared the notes for the clarification of any doubts that they have about the content. And at the same time, they analyzed the peers' level of understanding. For example, when the science mini lecture was given, the science students took the leadership in the group discussion, and there are students from humanity in the same group. So while trying to understand the content of the mini lecture, the science students was also able to analyze how much students from humanity understand about the content. And this has given them the students opportunity to understand the level of their peers' understanding. I hope this is clear to you. And in design phase, I won't explain much detail, but the students actually designed the flipped class version of mini lecture, and they made a pair and decided how to implement this flipped class. And again, we made a group of 2, which consists of 2 students from humanity and 2 students from science, and they shared what they have come up with, and gave one team shares what they have discussed, and another team gave feedback to the other team. So we intentionally provided the opportunity for the students to give feedback to each other, and had time to brush up what they have worked on inside the class. Okay, so this is the development phase, and because we were not able to get the permission from him, his picture, and he was absent. If he was there in the class, I think he would have agreed to show his face, but I'm trying to hide his face. So here we use the CC Producer as a software which was developed by Cyber University. The reason why we chose this application was that it's very easy to use for anyone who doesn't have much knowledge about IT. We make slides, and we just take a video and incorporate the slide into this video very easily. And so students didn't have much difficulties in using this application. Okay, and after creating the videos, the students again show what they have come up with to the other group and gave feedback to each other and brush up. And in implementation phase, students and faculties watch the video before the class, and this is how they have how students are facilitating the in-class activities. And students again gave feedback after the in-class activities. So, okay, enough from my side, and now I'd like to. Now my students are going to talk about what they have learned from this course, and also how they have perceived the significance of student involvement in designing and implementing flipped class.
So, hello everyone, my name is Natsuko Azuma. I'm a first-year student at the University of Tokyo. This is a brief outline of my presentation. First, reasons why I had taken the course. Secondly, what I learned from this course. Thirdly, changes before and after in myself. And finally, the importance of involving students in designing a flipped class. So to begin with, let me talk about the reasons why I took this course. Actually, I've been in France for 8 years for my father's job in my childhood, and in elementary school there, children, including me, were very active, but coming back to Japan, students, almost all students were passive. That's the first background. The second one is that I had a little bit doubt about that a big part of classes in the University of Tokyo are in the form of lectures. And classes of university are very long, and it is sometimes difficult to maintain concentration. So according to this, I wanted to experience a participatory class. Up to here, I've spoken about reasons why I've had taken the course, and now let me move on what I learned from this course. There are two main things I've learned by actually designing a flipped class, and the first one is how to prepare a flipped class, and the second one is that how to facilitate a flipped class. From now, I'll talk about the preparation of the class. And this time, the theme was already decided by teachers. It was about the comparison of the Issei story and the Genji story. These two stories are both created in the Heian period, and I had to use this material to design a flipped class. So since I had learned a motivation model called ARCS model in advance, I devised a way to attract students' interest in accordance with this model. First of all, I compared the Heian period with today as a subject to make students feel close to the Japanese classics. And at the movie part, I used a well-known Japanese movie. I don't know if you know Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name. And at the face-to-face class, I prepared two participatory activities. The former succeeded because all students remembered about the movie till the face-to-face class. But the latter didn't go well because I didn't give students enough instructions. So let's move on the facilitation. In class, I gave students some advice at the thinking time in order to make their discussion smooth. It was difficult to judge till what point we should instruct them. And I realized that to see teachers facilitating a class and actually facilitate a class is completely different. So now I would like to move on the next topic. The biggest change before and after was that I gained confidence in terms of speaking in front of many people. In this course, all students had the opportunity to say their opinion, so this stimulated me to make more remarks in other classes than before, like my second language class. And to conclude, let me say why it is important to involve students in flipped class. Student involvement in designing a flipped class allow students to become aware of problems and to feel the themes close to them. And students can also influence each other through feedback, which leads to better outcome. And standing on a teacher's point of view, through observation of a flipped class designed by students, teachers can also realize at what point students stumble. I think it's difficult to introduce this type of class in all classes of university, but it may be a good idea to introduce this in some classes and arouse students' curiosity toward learning. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Takuki Koizumi. I am a second-year student and I will belong to the Faculty of Education from April. Let me forgive that my English may be sometimes terrible since I haven't taken English class in this university for a year. Okay. Okay. I had two reasons to take this course. Firstly, since I was in high school, I have wanted to be a junior high school teacher or a senior high school teacher. Thus, it was very attractive for me to have the opportunity to design flipped class by ourselves, just like some teachers do so. Another reason was that my high school teacher was quite doubtful of flipped class. Why did I know this? But was that I knew the teacher's Twitter account, and I just followed him. And then he said one day, I don't really like flipped class or something like that. But on the other hand, I didn't know very well about flipped class. So I wanted to understand it by practicing it by myself. Okay, next I would like to show a highlight of the course. Okay. In this course, we learned several active learning methods. Especially, it was interesting for me to learn about the jigsaw technique through the jigsaw technique. We were separated into several groups, and each group learned about different active learning methods. For example, one group learns about jigsaw technique, another group learns about peer review, and so on. After that, we were put into a new group consisted of members who know about different active learning methods. So in the new group, one knows about jigsaw technique, another knows about peer review, and so on. In this group, we shared what we learned in the previous group. Actually, this process itself was the jigsaw technique. Learning about active learning as a method was quite important for me. At the same time, I recognized that flipped class is one of the methods which enhance learner autonomy, and it is not a purpose itself. Okay. Now, let me explain what I learned from this class. One point was the importance to set clear purpose and a goal for class. In this course, purpose and goals were shown to us every time, and we were able to follow the class accordingly. When we made our flipped class, this knowledge was quite useful. We were able to figure out what content should be included in or excluded from in-class activities and outside class activities. If there is clear purpose and goals, we can also question ourselves, is flipped class appropriate for this purpose? Well, in many cases, this answer may be yes, but I think in some cases it might be not necessary to install flipped class according to the purpose. Okay. Another thing that I learned from this class was the difficulty of tuning the level of the class. If we guide students firmly on the rail, just like picture on the left, like teaching one by one, you should do this, you should do that, you should think about this by using this or something like that. The class may proceed very smoothly. However, this style will lose learner autonomy. On the other hand, if we give no guidance at all to enhance learner autonomy, students will be confused since they cannot understand very well about what they should do. This is what actually happened in the flipped class that I designed. In my class, I used two passages of two literary works, and I showed to the students, and then I said, okay, let's find the common points of these two literary works from these passages. Well, what happened is that the students tried to do hard, but they didn't give us so many points. So I thought it was very difficult to take balance of these two aspects. Okay, finally, I would like to explain about the effect of student involvement in class design. I think students' participation in class design is meaningful in improving classes. Teachers prepare very well for classes, and of course they know very well about what they are teaching. However, they may not know how much familiar students are with the content or how much interest students have in the content. In this point, students could provide a different point of view to support and improve the class. For example, well, actually, we don't know about this, or actually, some students are not interested or bored or something they don't like about this topic or something like that. In this point, students can provide a different point of view to support and improve the class. Moreover, I think it would be better if students could participate more in designing classes, not only as students, but also as co-workers. Okay, thank you for your attention.
So I'm sure, I guess you like the students' presentation. So, so we did get some other responses from students, and also we actually did the interview to the students as well as the faculties who participated in the course. So I'd like to add some more. And we asked them what they think about the significance of student involvement in designing and implementing flipped class. And students' response was that one of the students' response was that they were able to gain deeper knowledge of the content by actually teaching the content. And also some of them said that they became more conscious about the purpose of the course. In other words, they become more conscious about the faculty's intention as well as expectation, not only in this class but outside of this course. So in other courses, they were able to understand what they were expected and how they should behave in the course. So this was some learning from the students. And some faculty said that they become more aware of the students' interest and through observing how the students are designing and implementing the flipped class. And some faculty, there were only 2 faculties, but one faculty said that this was a good opportunity for him to reflect upon his own teaching practice, because there's hardly enough chances for faculties to actually observe what other people are teaching about the context that they're teaching, content of what they're teaching. So he said that this was a good opportunity. And we also asked them if the students in this class can design and implement flipped class version of other courses. Not this course, but other courses in Komaba, on the condition that there is support from the active learning faculties. And so here is a result. And some students said yes. Some students were very confident that yes, we can design and implement, and we can make the video also. But some students said, okay, it depends. What they said was that if the purpose or content of the course matches with flipped class mode, they can. And other responses were like as follows. Some students and faculty said, yes, students could design and make the videos of flipped class, but it's difficult to facilitate the in-class activities. Their opinion was that because it requires much deeper knowledge about the content, it's difficult for the students to actually facilitate the class. Okay, so it seems like looking at the results, it seems like students could involve in designing and implementing flipped class. But some of my colleagues also said that we should consider that they might be paying their lip service. And also, if we think of having students involved in designing, implementing other courses at Komaba, there seems to be rooms for improvement in the outcome, even in the videos, because it means that we, active learning faculties, could have done better in giving some more useful guidance to the students in designing and development phase. And also some students mentioned about the time constraint. Some added that not many students might be interested in participating unless they're pursuing their career in education, and because they are taking so many other courses already, they won't have enough time to actually engage in this kind of activity outside the course. So we, at the moment, we think that we could do this kind of activity only within our course, but whosoever is interested in this kind of activity, meaning some faculties, we can ask them to join, and maybe we can make the flip class of their classes, their courses that they are teaching in traditional way. So this is the end of our presentation, and I hope you have some learning from this.